One sec, lads, there's something up here. So I hope everybody's well, and how's it going, everybody? Typical that technology would break down on me as soon as I start. Just give me one sec. I think that we're in action now. Cool. So, how's it going, everybody? And I'd like to welcome you all to today is my 25th live. So I've done 25 of these, 25 of Feck with Beckett's. Mad, absolutely mad, lads. I think somebody was talking about this week we hit the 100th day in isolation, or with going into COVID. So this is my 25th day, and it's my second last Feck with Beckett stream. So I am going to finish up with Beckett on this Saturday. So my last live with Beckett will be on Saturday. I am going to do more lives, but I'm going to take a little bit of a break because I've been going at it. But in my head, what I wanted to do was I wanted to finish this fella, and I have pretty much busted myself for the last couple of days. Been in here at all hours of the morning and at night trying to get him pushed on, because basically, hi Hannah, how's it going? Basically I've only been able to, in those 25 sessions, work on this pretty much within that hour and a half of the actual lives. So what you see is maybe 25 to 30 hours of work, maybe a little bit more, maximum I'd say 40 hours of work, and I put in a good bit this week. So I'm going to flip this around so you can actually see him. And hello Aiden and Nats Buzz, how's it going with you, and how's it going, Kieran? So what I was doing during the week is I'll just flip him around here and let you see. You can see that the neck all around this area here is all textured, and that does take a long time. There's absolutely no point. I'm just going to up the light a little bit. There we go. And there was no point in me actually texturing this until the form was finished. And the form was finished, so I textured. So the whole way around here, underneath the neck, a little bit of a turkey neck, not much. And going around the other side is all textured. There's a little bit that's not, and I'm going to show you how I textured it as well. So I'm going to, I think it's, let me see if I can see it. Yeah, this side. So around about here, I'm going to texture in a little bit more. I can see through it that I can still see a little bit of the sculpting tool marks just around here. So I'm going to go over that again. But before I came on, what I was doing here, let me see, can you see? Yeah, in and around here, and this lovely roll on top of the ear, I am putting in skin detail pores. Now the pores on top of here would be, quite heavy. Behind the ear, if you look as well, observe, you can see the pores inside some of these ears. You can see them right down deep, and because this fella is 2 to 1, he is that big. The pores are fairly massive on him. Now in places they are small, but with the pores, what I've been doing on this scale is, as I say, it's like a tadpole or a squiggly line, but a gouge in at the start and then squiggle it out, and I will do, let me say, 1, 2, and then 1 in between. But what I'm always trying to do, now they're possibly a little bit heavier, do a little bit lighter. What I'm always trying to do is go in the pattern of the actual skin texture. That's difficult to do sometimes, especially if you haven't observed. Now I have loads of reference around. I've taken photographs of myself as well. Not that I look like Beckett, but the pattern of my skin, it would be quite, we're all human, so the pattern of my skin will be similar to him. Now this dude is about 80. So he's a lot older than me, so therefore everything I will be doing on this is exaggerated. But same thing applies though. You still need to get the pattern in there. So if you get the pattern in there, it's not that you can switch your brain off, but I would doing sort of guidelines of where the pattern is, and then I just go for it. So that's what I've been doing at the minute just before I come on. And with this size, you can see it sort of coming to itself around here. In around here, I'm still going to put lines on top of these creases or folds, the big folds here for his frown lines, and then like we have crow's feet coming off here, but you sort of have crow's feet coming off here as well, off those lines. So that's what I've been doing for just before I came live. And what I'd like to do is do a little bit on this, and I'm going to go on to then doing some wrinkles on top of this using a different tool. So this will be more pores, and I can go. We'll go over this with wrinkles as well. So I'll show you how to use that tool too. Now, if you notice, like doing these sculpts or any sculpt, it's sort of like using sandpaper in a way with tools. To sand something, you need to work, usually with a heavy grit sandpaper. So with this, I would have used, heavy tools to be able to sculpt it, mold it, shape it. But then I wanted to get it smoother. So I would use a less abrasive tool. Then I'd use, the tool I actually used at the end was this tool, which I broke. You can see that it's all broken. It's wing line. But those there I make myself. Anybody can make these. You can buy beautiful ones online, and I have beautiful ones. I'm going to show you one in a minute. But if you don't know how to repair these, don't be buying really expensive ones. Figure out how to repair them first, and even try making them. By all means, absolutely, buy tools out there, and there's some fabulous ones. Ken's tools, beautiful tools. But these ones I make myself from K&S. And the wire that Lily broke me, now that's done a lot of work. It's pretty much done all of this head, and that's pretty good. This here is a bass string, so it just snapped on me. Same with the other side, so I put a lot of pressure on it. What I'm going to do is repair it, and what I could do in here to make it strong is use epoxy putty. But unfortunately, I want to get this done, and I didn't do that, and therefore I broke it. So I'll have to repair it. So what I'm going to do is spend just a little while here getting in the pore detail. What I sort of like to do with this stuff is get the pore detail in. Now a lot of people do it different ways, and that's cool. And then on top of that, I will be putting in crow's feet here, direction lines coming off, these wrinkles. You can see that, and it crosses over the pore lines that I've done, and I just find that having the pore lines in this really like having a foundation. Then I can muck around and play with it. It's not like this isn't perfectly smooth. I'm not looking for it to be perfectly smooth because I want to have it to have a little bit of a texture, because it does have a leathery skin. So I'm just going to go in with the tool. Now what I do like to do is I usually do this always with this tool. This is called a Kemper W21. I'm in Ireland, so the Kempers they're made, well actually I don't know where they're made, but they're sold in America. And if you haven't got them, do get them. This one here, now I've made them myself too, but they are cheap. But they're brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and the other end is absolutely fantastic for sculpting with as well. But this one is just beautiful, the W21 for putting in pore detail, or actually just sculpting in general. If you get this, it's a fantastic all-rounder for doing this. Well, I find anyway. So now my intention with this fella is he is going to be finished on Saturday. So this is my second last live. I'm going to do more lives. There's a few people here I've never seen before, and welcome everybody. So basically, if you didn't know, this is Samuel Beckett. He's a 2:1 life-size bust, and when I went into lockdown, I needed something to keep me sane, so I decided that this is what I was going to do, and I decided I'd just whack it out there on YouTube and Instagram and see if people would be interested in seeing the process, and they were. So this is this 25th live, and I will be finishing this on Saturday. A lot of people have asked me though what I consider documenting the moulding process, and if there's people on here, there's a moulding guru is just here, Freight Train, and I have been a fan for a long time. If you are into moulds at all, or the moulding process, go to his it's on Instagram, Freight Train Mould maker, and you'll not be disappointed. Absolutely brilliant moulds. So with this one, I am going to mould it. I've decided I'll do it's going to be quite a large mould, so I'll do it in fiberglass, and I will be doing it or casting it out in silicone. I'm only going to do a slush. I'm not going to do cores on this one. But I'm not going to do a core for the moulding process. I'm just going to slush it. But I am going to do a core within that, so that there is a core for the silicone to sit on top of. Some people might use polyurethane foam, and I usually use that in the smaller ones, but not on this one. I think it needs something that's that little bit more robust. And then I will paint it and hair punch it. So you can see I get those lines in, and I'll just do them again, and roll them down on top of each other, and then you can start to begin to see the pour. What you can do is use lighter fluid, or some people call it naphtha. Well, sorry, it is naphtha, but we call it lighter fluid over here, because if you go into a shop and ask for naphtha, they'll look at you. You could use IPA, isopropyl alcohol, to do this as well. I tend to not do that, because I'd rather not have bucket loads of chemicals floating around the room. And in lockdown at the minute, I'm not in a workshop, I'm actually in my kids' playroom, so I had to make a studio fairly quickly. Now, there is one place though that I would do lighter fluid around, is the lips. Quite delicate work to be able to do, and quite delicate work to be able to do. So I would use go in with the tool, sometimes go in with the W21, and then on top of that I use a light brush, and I will just a little bit of lighter fluid, just a little bit, to soften that back. So the whole of this head, and some people think I'm nuts, I don't think so. The whole of this head will be done like this. It will be textured by hand. I could use sort of texture stamps, but I feel that I have that little bit more control doing it this way, and in my head there's that little bit more satisfaction that I've done it all myself, which is nice to be able to say. So if anybody out there has a question, it doesn't necessarily have to be about this, or if you're making something, what are you making out there? It's a strange time, because I think we've been getting used to being in lockdown, or at least trying to, and now we're coming out of it, and I don't know if everybody's prepared to come out of it. Hi Aileen. Hi Josie. Alan, how are you? Sasha William, what's the story? So now what I would do is I would finish this before going on to the next phase, and I've sort of been in the lives jumping from one process to another, so that you see more than just one thing for a very long time. Obviously with the scale of this fella, it is going to take me a fair good while to do to get them done, but that's in its nature. So what I'm going to do, let me see how much time we got. Yeah, I'm going to spend a little bit longer on this, and now you can see, I don't know if you can, let me see, can you see around here? What I'm going to do is the same technique as in down here. I'm going to do, say, go in at the front, go in, when I'm going in with the tool, go in deep, well not very deep, but, and come out and do a squiggly line. So I will do 2 of them and then 1 in the middle. So generally that's what I'll do. But what you will find along the forehead here is they might be a little bit longer because they're actually nearly going into creases. But it's the same technique, it's just elongated that a little bit. So lads, if you're watching, tell people you're watching, and let's see if we can get some people on here. As I said, this is the my 25th live, which is bizarre, and this is my second last live for Feck with Beckett. It's not that I am finished with lives, but I am going to finish with Beckett. I am going to finish Beckett for as much as possible. I have been really working hard on him this last week to try and get him finished, and I want him to be finished on Saturday. So do a watch party or share it or comment and tell people that, you know, come on, have a go, have a watch. This is the second last one. Brian, how's it going? You're trying to make, oh, you're trying to make an automata. Excellent. There used to be this in Covent Garden. I cannot remember the name of it, but it was something like the Automaton Museum in Covent Garden, and there was this dude there. Don't know his name, but I'm sure if you did a Google on brass automata dragon, you'd see him, and it was just absolutely stunning. So you could go into he had his workshop there as well, so you could go into the museum and you'd see all of these pieces, and you could, they weren't all motorized, so you'd go rotate it yourself, and you'd see them moving. But I think it was based on Smog in Lord of the Rings, and it was made in I think it was brass, but it's absolutely stunning. There's one actually, it was floating around, an automata that I saw recently. It was floating around on, I think, Facebook, of a whale, and it's sort of diving down and then swooping around. Fabulous, absolutely fabulous. So, not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of mechanics involved, but beautiful thing to do. I think it's next. Well, it's not quite next door to an animatronic, but trying to, with low key stuff, trying to mimic movement, and it's a beautiful thing to do. So dig in, trail back, and then go in between. Dig in, trail back, go in between, and then you can sort of shut off for a wee while. Now what a little before I come on, I have been smoothing out his top of his skull, and yeah, no, you can see that, you can see it now pour, and but I've been smoothing out so I could actually do this in front of you, and broke the tool. I've broken a few tools on this fella. He's big, so that tool is dead, so I have to fix him. Some of them are really good. I'm going to start off simple and try and make a bird that flaps its wings. What else are you saying there? And have around the house. Lovely. I used to have a mobile here. that did exactly that, but it hung out of the ceiling. But she made the mech. It's, you know, if you actually think about the mech that we were talking about for the Robin, it's the same mech. It's exactly the same mech. Just think of seesaws and cams. Cams, look that up. Cams. That's what you want for an automaton. So what I wouldn't do is do bucket loads of texturing and then just keep on going and going and going and going. What I do like to do is do a bit and then go in with the sponge and see what it looks like. Make sure I'm not losing the plot, that it actually looks like what it's supposed to look like. But the thing with pores, they do have a direction, same with skin texture. So get that in reference first. Figure that out completely. Put some lines in. I'll show you the lines that I have. I have a line in here. And you see that? Yeah. I have another line in here going down. So they're the lines I'm going to follow for skin texture. Jack Rogers, how's it going? No, not everybody's going to be able to see this because I'll be going. Well, I might go behind the ear for a wee while, but not for long. So I'm doing these pores, and my intention is that well, this is my second last live with Feck with Beckett. I am going to finish this dude for Saturday, and my next step will be to actually mold him. So and I will document that as well. Maria Freeman, what's the story? So this stage here, putting these pores in, you really can lose it because there's so many of them, and you if you don't put in guidelines of lines, the direction lines, if you don't put them in, you're going to get lost. It's like hair punching. Actually, it's very similar to hair punching in that you need a direction, and with the hair punching there's a curl as well. So you need to be able to put direction lines in. We'll put another one in here. And those lines, some of them turn into wrinkles, some of them turn into texture, some of them disappear, but they do give me a guide as to the direction and pattern of the pore. So do that. You're learning to crochet. Oh, while you're learning to wait for AutoCAD to render, I've waited so bloody long for AutoCAD to render. So, welcome lads to people who are just joining. And I'm just going to, see, I'm going to do this for a little bit longer. I'm going to do half the session doing this and half the session doing another type of skin texture. But this is the one I would do first. I've already done pores somewhere else, but I wanted to do another skin texture on it, and it's actually more lines that I want to put in, so that's what I'm going to show next. Now you can see those lines there. There's lines going down, and then these go down, and then they swoop into the skin texture is already there. What's everybody up to? So Jack, you're waiting for something to render on AutoCAD, so obviously get something on the computer. Seisha, you are doing an automata, bird automata. So what's everybody else doing? And if that is just sitting down and watching and chilling out, nothing wrong with that. I could do with a bit of that myself. I'm not going to do it behind the ear. Well, I am, but I'm not going to do it now because you're not going to be able to see it. Go in, squiggly line, then go either side, go in, squiggly line. So try not to do this. See the way that I'm going, that's symmetrical. Don't want it symmetrical. We need it in a pattern, yes, but it's not really a symmetrical pattern. A lot of people, this is what they want to know, is how do you make something look sort of real skin, but it's not, you know, you're not slapping clay on there, it's not big stuff, it's really small. So the only way to learn how to do this is by doing it, just practicing it. I'm trying to figure out screw threads on Blender. Oh my god. So, who did that? Oh yeah, Matt did that for me once on a thing. 3D printing something and then being able to put a bolt into it. Oh, you are making a core for an eye. Is that what you're doing? Hi Andrew, how's it going? Is that what you're doing? Is that what you're doing in Blender? Making a plate for an eye? So with this, lads, there's a huge amount of detail goes into this stuff. Now that's very cakey around the back this ear. I haven't even looked at it yet, but you can see if you're putting in each pore, it's going to take a wee while. Some music, maybe even a beer, but do put in sort of direction lines of where you want the direction and pattern that you want the board to go into, and generally those will follow along with crease lines as well. Not always, generally. So as I said at the beginning during this process, with sculpting, what I always talk about at the beginning during sculpting, it's like drawing on stuff and then building up off it. Hi Mayor, how's it going? So and I think that's an easier way to talk to people about sculpting, is because they're used to drawing. So draw it on, and that not just drawing it on with a tool, but if you talk to them about drawing it on with clay, it's like three-dimensional drawing. I don't know why that works, but when you talk to people that way, it sort of, they can understand the process a little bit better. So when putting in these direction lines, I literally draw them in. No time with it. Yeah, I'm gonna flip over to doing the neck. Show you that in one sec, and do it using a different tool. I have put in not a huge amount of on the neck pore detail, but you'll see it in a minute. And I'm going to use a different tool, completely different technique to make some wrinkle lines. prop for video game. Cool. But that's how you can figure out to make a plate. It'd be great to make a nice plate that a bolt goes into. And if you look at what do you call it, Fort Seal, they've actually changed the plate. And I always wondered why they had a square plate, and I was wondering, is there a reason why they have a square plate and as opposed to a round plate? Because I always thought a round plate would be sort of more efficient, use less material, and now they've moved over to a round plate. So obviously they're thinking about that as well. Have a look on the website, Fort Seal Studios. So now when I would go in with the tool, we're not going to go too far, and then I'm going to use the stipple sponge to create the texture. So the next one I'm going to use is this one. I'm going to use, hopefully I don't need that tool. Can we see? I think we can. So I'm going to go in around his neck. I might even go up onto his forehead, but this is what I was doing. And for anybody that's joining in, this is my 25th live, and this is my second last Feck with Beckett live. My intention is that I'm going to finish this fella for Saturday. Ooh, come on. Now, so Aiden, you like this. This, for making wrinkles, I've already gone in with the tool, the W21, the one I was just using. And I've already created these wrinkle lines. Some are deep, some are shallow. I've done similar effect to the pour, but then I would go in and do X's. And some are, you can see an X there, but it's a long and shallow X, just about there. And then there's a one below that. So I've done that. So what I did was I started off with these lines first, and all of this texture, I used these lines as the direction lines, like I said, on the pores, and then I filled out from there. So it's a handy way of doing it. Yeah, a lot of people are doing smaller plates, and a lot of people are making those plates in silicone as well. So that it comes off, the material comes off easier. So I'm going on top of this, and I'm going to, if you look at your skin, there's a lot of crossing of small, crossing a small line. So there's a lot of X's. To do that quickly, especially on this side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put plastic on, a sheet of plastic. And now I've already been doing this. So one side of this plastic has a little bit of Shabant on it, plastic clay, and it sticks to it easy. So what you want to be able to do is don't use white stuff, use clear stuff, and this stuff here is the plastic that you put your carrots into, and your carrots fall on the ground. So it's really, really thin plastic. Now this tool I've made, and this tool here I bought. The difference between the two is just that this is heavier gauge wire on top, and there's a lighter gauge wire. So what I will be doing is, and you can see it drawing in the lines there, and hopefully you can see the X's that I'm creating. I would also go in the pattern in the direction that the skin is going in. Now there are times, and I will do that as well, that there's a line that just goes in the wrong direction, shifts off, it's where skin is folding in on itself, or there's a frown or wrinkle line that it's not the same pattern as the rest. That's cool. I will always put something like that in. But for this, in general, they are X's. So I go waving in one way, and then waving in another way. Okay. But keep the wave not exactly to the direction of the lines I've already put in, but near enough. So I'm crossing all the time. Kaylee, what's the story? Haven't talked to you in ages. Is that Daniel? How are you, Daniel? So that's what this tool is doing. Now I wouldn't use this tool, well I probably would on a 1-to-1. This is 2-to-1. This is twice human size. I'm just going to pull him around a bit. And I'm going to just peel this back a little bit. So the reason why I would use plastic and this tool, I could put it straight onto the skin, but when I put it straight onto the skin, can you see that? When I scrape it along, the clay will go up either side of the line, whereas if I do it with this, it literally just makes a groove inside with the tool, and there's no, it's called a burr, that's what I call it. You call them when you drill something out on something and the little sharp bits that come out of it and stay on at the edge of something of a hole, a burr. So that's what I've always called them. So I'm going in the direction that the main skin, the texture is going in, the main folds, main lines, but I'm crossing them. So you can see that those X's are getting in there. And if you look at your skin, there's bucket loads of them. And then you just peel it off. And they're left in there. So there's loads of skin texture in that now. Loads of it. I'll give it a little bit of a rub down with, well, maybe this is too harsh. Those lines that I've just put in are quite shallow and really small. So I'll use a softer version of that, or I will use a brush. A chip brush or a laminating brush. And it's at this stage that I might use a cut off brush. Laminating brushes, they come and the bristles are about an inch long, maybe a little bit longer, about an inch and a quarter. I cut it in half, and so it's stubby. And they're for a little more abrasive. I'm getting to a stage that I've done that and I've used that tool, but this is getting to a stage that I would probably use a softer brush. I'd absolutely be using a softer brush around his lips. Again, like, what you have to remember with doing this stuff is the direction. How's it going, Clodagh? Is the direction of the skin texture. I can at stages go in an opposite direction. Skin texture does do that sometimes, but generally it goes in the direction of the skin texture. There's a few lines coming off. So what this started off with was that line, and that line, and there's a line going underneath the gel there, and then I built out from there, creating wrinkles, and then on top of that was this to give it that skin texture. So just move him around. So how are we, everybody? Oi. So just to let you know, next Saturday will be the last one of these. So I'm going to announce that as well, that this is the last one. So it will be the last Beckett with Beckett, because I am going to finish him for Saturday. I'm pretty much nearly getting there as I go here. There's a few things that need to be corrected. One is this eyebrow. I'm not happy with it. I've never been happy with it, and every time I see it, there's something off. so I just have to work on that. But he generally is getting there. The eye needs a bit of work, but the top of the head, I've smoothened it out, and it just needs a little bit more. And then I'm going to put 4 detail in there, and he'll be done. Well, I'm going to have to call it, because he, well, it's not that he's wrecking my head, but I need a bit of a break, and I want to do some other things. And actually, I think, well, one of the other things is I want to actually mould them. So it's going to be one big mould. Elaine, how are you? Haven't seen you in a long time. So when we get these lines on, lads, again, these are not the harsh lines or the hard lines that I have in, or the folds that I've in. I've put them in already. Excuse me. I've put them in already. And if you put that up close enough or tight enough, you'll actually see the texture through it, so you know what direction you're going. I put all the harsher lines in first. This here is the skin texture on top of those lines. Sometimes what will happen, so just be aware of it, the big lines that you've made already in here will act as a channel, like that there, right there, right there. It's dragging the tool through it. That's fine, that's okay. But you don't necessarily want to keep making that the larger line bigger. So be gentle with it and go squiggly lines. And with this tool, sometimes there is a randomness about it as well. Now I am going in the direction, but if I try and actually use this tool with precision, it's quite difficult. So it is a random tool. You haven't been able to. Actually, I'm not surprised you haven't been able to watch for weeks. Or haven't you been up to your eyeballs, stressed out trying to finish college? But yeah, I've this last wee while. This week, I've decided last week that this is my second last live with Feck with Beckett. I think he's done what he needed to do at this period in time, but I don't think it's going to be my last live. But so I decided that I was going to finish him. Now I haven't really done it up here, and so I'm sort of finishing it off short of it. And what you do, and it's really annoying if you're not looking what you do, you gouge your clay, you stick it into it, and it's right pain. So I have done a fair whack of work on him in the last couple of days. I've been getting up early and trying to get him finished and just get him cleaned up. And once that's done, pull it off and go back around here. Now this material here, the bags you can get, they're a little bit small, but the same plastic with electrical products, when you buy them, this is usually wrapped. They're usually wrapped in something like this. So like when something comes into my house from Amazon or something like that, it doesn't necessarily go, the packaging doesn't necessarily go in the bin straight away. What I try and do is look at stuff like that and say, could I use that for something else? This here came in a massive sheet, and it was fantastic for this. So, and I have had this for years, and I keep it in the tub and I pull out and I use as much as I need. Now the problem with it is these things shouldn't be very, very sharp, but they are sharp enough. They will rip into this eventually. So try and go handy with it, but don't be crucifying yourself if you cut into it, because you will. so you will need more of this stuff. This here, I was working on it yesterday and I felt it was very flat and it needs more of rolls coming off the back of the neck. And you know, the people are really old, the skin is coming down off the back, off the top of their head, and I wanted some folds in here, so that's what these are. And if you're confused what I'm doing, actually look at some of these, look at your own skin, look at it now, like around here on top of your finger, around your knuckles, you can see crisscrosses, you can see X's. Don Lanning, he loves to call them the power of the X. That's what I'm putting in here is X's with this tool. Skin is full of them. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're really, really small. These are the small ones I'm putting in. Now, I have not used talc or nothing around here is done yet, lads. You can still see the tool marks, and around here is actually needs a little bit of work, so I'm going to actually try and do that with this tool. And you can drag it along and be a little bit more harsher and smooth stuff out that you want to smooth out, and then you can go back at it. Just be careful if you do that, you put loads of pressure on it, that you're pushing the plastic into the clay, and when you take it off, it might pull some of the clay with it because it's stuck right in there. But again, around here, I haven't done anything yet. I want these lines to feed up into the skull, or sorry, not the skull, the skin on top of the skull. Now, what's nice about Schwant is, or any clay really, when you're doing this on it, it gets a little bit waxy on one side, so therefore it just sticks very easily. Carolina, how are you? Yaro, how's it going? Giuseppe, how are you? So you can see those X's there. So I go up and then do the opposite, and you go next. And you're trying to put a bit of pressure on it, yeah, but be gentle at the same time. Excellent. Just want to go over that again there. And I want to get rid of, on this one, some of the tool marking. So what I'm doing here, I'm pretty much nearly just using one prong, I'm using it as a tool, and then I'm going to go over that. Cool. Now all of this, what I will do afterwards, what's nice about doing this, you can do this in one batch, and then afterwards I'll use a sponge or a brush. The sponges I use are these, that's very harsh. I have a softer one, that's the one I'll be using on top of this. So if you want to be soft about doing this, don't hold the tool there, hold it at the end, and you can put a bit of pressure on it. Don't dig it in like that, you gouge it out, just draw it along it. What's amazing to me is that I'm actually at this stage of doing this. Now, there's a few things that need to be fixed, alright, but not many. He's well on his way to being finished. Well, in the nature of these things, you're going to have to call it at some stage. And I have to call this. Susan, how's it going? Jojo, what's the story? Feck, how are you? Catherine, how are you? So anybody that just joined, what I'm doing is I'm putting in skin texture in here, and essentially what this is a plastic bag. It's just plastic, and this tool here is I've made it. Where's the other one? But you can buy other ones. This one here, similar. Difference is this: the weighting of the metal on this is far thicker than this metal here, far thicker. But really works well for this. So what I'm going to do with this one as well is there will be sort of lines that would do what you don't think they would do. So, and what's nice with this tool, you can pick just one of the prongs and use it. Then you can go back into the pattern that it generally is, and skin, it does do weird things sometimes and shoots off on a line like in a complete opposite direction, like something like that there. So there's a good few people joined now. That this is my second last Feck with Beckett live, and this is my 25th live today. That's which is fucking nuts. And I am my intention is I want to finish this fella on Saturday, ready for molding. Now what you can do is do this on the face as well. If you're going to do that, just be careful. Well, actually, to be careful anywhere with this tool, because it will put lines into it, and you are going to see those lines. And if those lines are, if you're looking at it's going off in a funny direction. I know I said skin does do funny things and will shoots off in a funny direction. Just be careful about doing that. Nice thing about it, these lines are not that deep, so you can rub them out if you need to. Now, there's some niceness going on with this ear as well, and I'm just going to work that in a little bit more. What's nice about using the plastic is that you can sort of get those lines in there without having to use a sponge afterwards, or without having to use a brush afterwards, because it gouges into the clay, yes, creates a line, yes, but doesn't push the clay off the side, and so therefore doesn't create a burr. I call it a burr. This skin texture goes that way. I am picking out sort of deep lines. You can see through the plastic. Just be aware that you can see through the plastic, and pick up the lines that are already there. Now I don't know, lads, these are a few questions I would love to ask people, but doing these type of lives, I know these are about an hour long, but I've had a few people say to me, and maybe you would give me your opinions, that they can see that a lot of sort of information is being given, say like from a teaching perspective, but they don't really know, or can you prove that people are actually learning from watching things like this. So what would you think about that? Do you think that watching somebody doing processes like these that you're actually learning, or you just being entertained? What do you think? Your opinions would be most welcome on that regard. Neve, how are you? Sasha, how are you? And Jessica, how are you? How's it going? I would hope, my hope would be, when people are watching these, the reason why I started doing Feck with Beckett, and like this is the 25th one, was sort of to not necessarily entertain people, but to give people a focus that they could look at something and forget about what was going on in the world for a time, or at least an hour, every Wednesday and Saturday. But what I was thinking was, could you actually translate this into teaching, and are people actually learning from doing stuff like this? Because I have had to cancel my summer, all my summer courses, my physical ones I've had to cancel, and what I would like to do is spend a bit of time doing more of this, and actually see if we could do something online. But I'm not interested in doing that if people feel they're not learning, or or if it's just something that you would watch. I want us to create something together. Sasha, what do you mean a combination of both? Would you explain that to me, please? It makes it more interactive. Just explain what that. Do you mean that watching it, seeing it being done, and actually doing it yourself while it's being done? Like the sculpt the skull I did. Well, I would hope that ultimately this should be entertaining. Like Jenny Mac, like we're here for an hour, and on Sculpt the Skull we were there for 6.5 hours. So it needs to be entertaining. But it needs to be educational as well. So you've learned loads from making a skull, Catherine. Lovely. Who could not learn by watching someone? Yeah, but it has been said to me that what they are seeing is a great way of transferring information to people. But what they're not seeing is, and this is purely because it's very hard to see people's work or how people react after seeing something like this. You can't see the learning because I'm online and you're somewhere else. But I feel there is learning. But what I really want to do is, and that's why I'm finishing Beckett this. Beckett is going to be absolutely fucking finished on Saturday. If I have to stay up all Friday night, he's finishing. But I want to spend some time making a course that we're going to do online, that everybody's going to make something at the end of it, and because I can't actually do the summer courses that I normally do. Yes, it's like a step-by-step process, and if you had the materials whilst watching, you could follow the process. That's exactly what I have said all along to people who are saying that this method of teaching doesn't really work. Now, the one thing that is difficult for me though, and I've only have an hour and a half and 1 minute left, is I can't touch your work. So that's the one thing that I need to get over, or that hump. But I do think there's value in it. But I appreciate everybody's honesty and your opinions. And Beckett with Beckett will be finishing, but I am not finishing. So I'm trying to get more tech in to make this experience easier and nicer. But as usual, oh hello Peter. As usual, I very much appreciate everybody taking the time out of their day to come and watch me play with this fella. And I would hope, that would be my hope out of this, was that no one, it was a little bit of entertainment, Number two, there was a little bit of companionship and a mental time, and a little bit of learning. So I hope that's what Beckett with Beckett has done for people. So I'm going to finish it up. I'm going to keep on sculpting. But if anybody has other thoughts, send me a message about that, because I would love to hear from people about that sort of stuff, about learning this stuff online and what you would need from somebody like me. So Instagram, Sloan, thank you very much. Facebook, I will see ye all. I'll see you all on Saturday. Again, don't forget, this is the second last. Today is the second last Feck with Beckett. I'm finishing Feck with Beckett on Saturday, so that will be my last Feck with Beckett at 3 o'clock. And I'm Feck with Beckett's finished. I am not. I am going to devise another course that we can do together online. The way we sort of did Sculpt the Skull, but hopefully better. So again, thank you very much for joining in. I'm very grateful, and I appreciate everybody coming in and spending the time together with me. So Sloan, and I'll see you on Saturday. So YouTube, you've heard all of that. I'm just going through everybody here. So again, I appreciate ye joining as well. And if you like what you've seen today, go through the other videos. I've been doing this. This is my 25th one. So there's I haven't recorded all of them. So there's this is you'll see I don't know, about 20 of them. So if you like what you've seen, give us a like, give us a comment, and subscribe, because there is more stuff on the YouTube channel. So the other demos. And if this is something that you would like to do, like to create, or even just start, give me a comment and tell me what you would like to do. But thank you very much again for joining in, and I will see you all next Saturday at 3 o'clock.